Hello, this is Jovino Santos Neto for PianoGroove. And on this short masterclass, we're going to talk about power chords. I just started by playing a few power chords. Let me define that first, because a power chord is something that's often known in the rock guitar world, because it's a chord you can play with a distorted guitar and be able to create a very big sound with that, because this chord, like, or so normally for the piano, this is a voicing that I call 1, 4, 5, 8. If you think of this as being a C chord, you understand that there's no third. If you think of being an F chord, there's also no third. If you think of being a G chord, there's also no third. So all these chords this is what's known as a quartal triad. So it's a triad that does not have a 3. It has a 1, 4, and a 5. Of course, it could be also a 1, a 2, and a 5, which is just a different inversion of another power chord. So every time you have 3 notes with a 4th in between them. And these are great voices for the left hand of the piano. If you follow a musician such as McCoy Tyner, he pretty much made a trademark of his playing that will always use the. And also the time of especially, McCoy Tyner was playing at a time in the 70s with people using a lot of suspended 4th chords. But the purpose of what I want to show you today is really that the power chord can be used as a really useful tool for developing major chords, minor chords, all dominant 7th chords, not just for a suspended chord, because being a quarto, it's often used for suspended chords, as in whereas they have no 4th. But for instance, my chord would be a G minor 7th, right? There's a number of power chords that would fit perfectly here, for instance. And I'll use those as, I like to think of my power chords as being always starting on the 5th, my thumb on the 5th. So this would be a B flat. See? This is a C. This is a D. And here's a F. So this is pretty much a pentatonic approach. And then I go back. So this is an interesting way to create chord voices which are melodically active. So if I think, I'm playing chords that are playing a melody. So I'm making my chords sing. And then even if I don't double the octave, I go G minor. Let's do the same thing now with a major chord. Let's take a D major 7. So it's a power chord. So this is a way that you can actually, by using power chords, you can expand a minor chord, a major chord, also dominant 7th chords. Like for instance, if you use this chord, C7, 13 with a sharp 11th or flat 5, how you want to call it. Look at this. So there's some really interesting power chords. This is a great way for you to add your playing. And often if you're playing as a left hand accompaniment to your improvisations, let's say I'm going to pick a tune that goes... This is Autumn Leaves. So if I'm soloing over that, I can think. see, I hope you notice that I use a lot of this. Make sure when you're practicing, you explore different configurations, different voicings of quartal triads or power chords, however you want to call them. They can be used on the right hand to generate interesting melodic chord voicings, or also on the left hand to create shells that are propelling the music forward. Because sometimes you don't necessarily have to use the third or the seventh on the left hand. For instance, in my B flat major seventh, this is only the third, the sixth, and the ninth. But if I want the seventh, you can also create interesting superimpositions. Look at this one. Beautiful chord. It's just 2 power chords superimposed. And there's a lot more options if you start exploring using your ears and using the shapes of your hands, because once you get a shape for a power chord, that pretty much remains unchanged throughout the keyboard. So hopefully this was useful to you. If you like to know more about this, make sure you participate in our forums and communicate back. Thank you so much. This is Jovino Santos Neto for PianoGroove.